Can you tell the audience about your experience when you were working in television up in the mountains and you had a visitor up there? Want to tell the people that?
Well, yeah. My first job in television was at the top of a mountain in New Hampshire back in the late 1970s. I ran a microwave relay station, and, it was for local public TV up there. And, basically in the winter, if it snowed, and as it did many times, you'd have to go out with a shovel and look for your car. I mean, this was high on top of a mountain and very remote. Nothing's up there because you got to get really high up if you had this huge antenna and you beam the signal out. We take a signal in on a certain frequency, convert it to a different channel for the local people, and as all these different transmitters around the state did, and beam it out so people could get TV. And this was before the days of cable. So I'm up here at the top of this mountain, and this is like a square metal building. I had powered down everything, and everything went totally quiet. And there's this metal door, about 3-inch thick metal door. It had some windows in it. And after everything had become quiet for a couple of minutes, all of a sudden this door started shaking. Something had grabbed the handle of this door and it was shaking the door so hard that the entire side of the building was moving side to side. Something with real incredible strength was shaking this door. All they had to do was turn the doorknob, but for some reason they didn't turn the doorknob. So anyway, I bend down and I look out the window, and staring me right in the face is this creature, glowing yellow eyes. I swear to God, and you may think I'm crazy, but this thing looked just like a wolf man from out of one of these old sci-fi black and white movies. Except, these are glowing yellow eyes. And we just stopped for a couple seconds. And once he saw me and I saw him, we're just looking at each other in the eyes, face to face with this thing, with a pane of glass in between us. And for some reason, it didn't have the brains enough to be able to know to turn the doorknob, because if that thing got in there, what the heck would have happened next? But anyway, after looking and staring into this creature's face for about 10 seconds, it turns and runs, and it jumps, and it just would jump, and it went like 15 feet in the air, and in slow motion, and from step to step, leaping and running away. And it just like, whoa, I did not sleep very well that night. And I locked that door immediately and was on alert for not only the rest of that night, but for many nights afterwards. So this was microwave radiation, microwave relay station. It just made me think of the old John Keel books and how, sometimes these radiations or energies can draw weird type of being that you may not have known about before to where you're at. I don't know.
I think there's something to that. I have my own experiences in relation to that, and that's exactly what I think. High-powered power lines, if you're near them, the heavy radiation of electricity off of those power lines, there's no doubt in my mind, I've heard too many experts talk about it, that it pulls, it's so much energy that's right there, and it opens up vortexes where other life forms can come in to that energy field. And I've had it happen to me. I know what I'm talking about. That there is.
Yeah, this thing was about at least 7 foot tall. It wasn't over 8 foot tall. It was about 7 foot or so. It was really big. As far as it being scared, from 1 to 10, it was an 11. But as far as the brains this thing had was a -2. So it worked out for me pretty well. It just had hair like all over its face. The teeth were quite large, coming out over its mouth a little bit. And the yellow eyes were just piercing. They were they weren't as big proportionally speaking as a cat, but they were big and they were glowing. And that was just like, the hair on my back of the neck and almost my entire body just stood on end, because when you see something like that and you're in the middle of nowhere, and you got nowhere to run, and all you have is, the thing is, this metal door was pretty thick, But for some reason, they had a pretty darn good door on there, and it didn't open up. And, you know, it's just one of the strangest things that had ever happened to me in my life, and it only lasted about 10 seconds.